Good morning and thanks for joining us for KBUI 2 News Midday. I'm Rick Douglas. Now to your top 11 stories at 11. The New York Times reports Sergeant Bo Bergdahl will report to a preliminary hearing Thursday in San Antonio, Texas. In the months since he was traded for Taliban fighters, Bergdahl has been called both a traitor and a hero. But information about what really happened when he left his post in Afghanistan back in 2009 have been under wraps. That could change beginning Thursday. The hearing will decide whether Bergdahl should be court-martialed. We know more this morning about yesterday's four-vehicle crash on I-84. It happened late in the afternoon near the 10-mile overpass. Police now say Harold Brent Guerrero struck the back of a vehicle, which then sideswiped another. The third vehicle then sideswiped a fourth car. Westbound lanes were partially blocked for about 2 hours. 3 people were taken to the hospital. Brent Guerrero was arrested for aggravated driving under the influence of drugs. It's a little more than a week since a fire gutted Boise's International Market, leaving vendors, many of them refugees, without a livelihood. But thanks to the generosity of total strangers, a GoFundMe account has raised quite a bit more than the initial goal of $50,000. And the Boise woman behind the fundraising effort is excited for 2 reasons. 1, that they exceeded their goal to help the vendors displaced by the fire, and 2, that there's a new effort to give them a place to make some money in the interim.
And from the donors that we've had, very many of them have expressed their interest in rebuilding the market, but they want to make sure that these vendors can sustain the time that it's going to take. And with the funds that we have raised, they have that ability to pay their bills and still have somewhat of an income so that they can still be standing strong when it's time to rebuild.
Randall's efforts are not the only way that Treasure Valley residents have found ways to help. Life's Kitchen, a nonprofit culinary school for at-risk young adults, is offering its kitchen space for vendors who have upcoming catering events. A woman's in stable condition this morning after a weekend shooting in Boise's North End. Boise police responded to the shooting off West Resegui on Saturday night. Officers closed off the street during the investigation. Police later arrested Christopher Wirfs near the intersection of Franklin and Maple Grove. He's being held at the Ada County Jail. He's being charged with aggravated battery and a felon in possession of a firearm. Governor Jerry Brown has declared a state of emergency after a series of wildfires this weekend destroyed hundreds of homes and businesses in the northern part of California. One of the worst hit areas is Middletown, where entire neighborhoods have been turned to ash. The so-called Valley Fire is the 5th major one to hit Lake County this summer, and as you can see, by far the worst. In just 12 hours, the fire burned 40,000 acres. Defiant County Clerk Kim Davis is back on the job this morning in Moorhead, Kentucky. She spent several days in jail for not issuing marriage licenses to same-sex couples. She spoke briefly with reporters, saying that licenses issued by her office will not have her name or authority. Davis filed a motion Friday asking the court to let her continue banning marriage licenses until the case against her has been settled. The U.S. Army yesterday held what's called an activation ceremony at the Veterans Affairs Parade Field in downtown Boise. The ceremony celebrated the activation of a new reserve battalion, the 814th Transportation Battalion. It will eventually have jurisdiction over 600 Army reservists in Idaho, Utah, Montana, and Wyoming.
The United States Army has been vested in this area since 1863 and the opening of Fort Boise. This activation provides only the most recent investment in the Boise region.
The colonel stressed that despite a squeeze on resources, the Treasure Valley continues to demonstrate a strong interest in Army enlistment. A reminder to commuters, beginning Wednesday, part of I-84 will be cut down to 2 lanes in both directions. It's the stretch of freeway between 10 Mile and Eagle Roads. The Idaho Transportation Department is encouraging drivers to plan ahead for what is sure to be a slower commute. The lane restrictions should last until early November. However, freeway construction should be completed by the end of November. In Seattle, public school students are out of school again today as a strike by teachers enters its 2nd week. Talks resumed over the weekend after what the Seattle Education Association called productive talks with mediators. The teachers want more pay and a longer school day, among other things. The strike is the largest in the U.S. since a massive one hit Chicago back in 2012. In Brussels this morning, foreign ministers in the European Union are meeting in emergency session to deal with the growing refugee crisis. Their challenge is to find room for the expected 160,000 refugees and migrants who are fleeing war-torn Syria and Iraq. The refugees are enduring long waits and cramped conditions as they try to board trains bound for Austria and Germany. This morning, Germany began checking passports, which has slowed the influx of foreigners. For only the third time in its history, LL Bean stores in Freeport, Maine voluntarily closed their doors Sunday. It was to honor former CEO Leon Gorman, who is also the grandson of founder LL Bean. A private memorial service was held earlier in the morning. Gorman died from cancer at the age of 80 on Thursday. The stores closed their doors for 4 hours for the service. The last time that Bean's closed was after the deaths of founder LL Bean and President John F. Kennedy.